Hi, everyone. Welcome to the History to Memory Information Night. We're just going to wait a minute until a few more people join, and then we'll get started. All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Whitney Karp, and I work in the Israel Engagement Department of UJA. And I'm very excited to be here tonight to talk about UJA History to Memory, a March break program for grade 11 and 12 students to travel to Poland and Israel. It was the late Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sacks who wrote, "There is a profound difference between history and memory. History is his story, an event that happened sometime else to someone else. Memory is my story, something that happened to me and who is part of who I am." Traveling to Poland and Israel links personal memory to the collective memory of the Jewish people. History becomes memory. And that's why we've designed UJA History to Memory to be an accessible opportunity to engage students in a relevant, meaningful, and fun way. Students will gain insight, ask questions, and build a strong identity, setting them up for success in their university years, and empowering students to be witnesses for the witnesses. History to Memory will extend far beyond the week-long intensive journey and ultimately provide lessons, memories, and relationships that last a lifetime. It's an investment in yourself, in your family, in Jewish life and community, and in the future of Holocaust and Israel education. We have a lot to cover tonight, including registration information, itinerary, local programming, program fees, safety and security, and more. You'll also have the opportunity to ask questions, which I'm sure you'll have many. But without further ado, I'll hand it over to the chair of this year's program, Michelle Rose, to say a few words.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Michelle Rose, and I'm honored to be the chair of this year's History to Memory program. I'm so grateful that you've taken the time to be here tonight. I come to you not only as the chair, but as the granddaughter of 4 Holocaust survivors. It is because of my grandmother, Anita Eckstein, that I do the work I do. She devoted her life to Holocaust education and believed deeply in the power of testimony, in the responsibility to remember, and ensuring that the next generation carried that torch forward. She journeyed with the March of the Living 18 times from its very earliest years through 2018. In 2017, my husband and I joined her as chaperones on one of her last trips. Those walks, stories changed me, and they made me understand that carrying on this legacy is not optional. It's a responsibility and a gift. History to Memory is more than just a trip. It's the next generation educating the generations to come. It's about recognizing what Jewish life was about before the war, how anti-Semitism rose, how devastation and destruction took place, and yet how there was resilience, courage, and resistance. It's about traveling to Israel, where students will bear witness not just to history, but to the living Jewish people today. They will see firsthand the challenges and resilience of Israel, including recent events like those of October 7th, and hear stories that will deepen their understanding and strengthen their commitment to carrying these lessons forward. What makes this program so powerful is the community it will build. Over the course of the year, and especially during the week abroad, students don't just learn history, they form connections, they ask hard questions, and they discover the strength of their own Jewish identity. They return ready to step onto school campuses, not just informed, but empowered. Proud Zionists prepared to stand tall in the face of anti-Semitism and anti-Israel rhetoric. And to all the parents here, there's no greater gift than this for your child. This is a momentous experience. It invests not only in their future, but in our collective Jewish memory and community for third generations, fourth generations, and all the future. I'm so proud to be a part of this, and I believe with my heart that this program will give this year's students the opportunity to carry our stories forward with courage, identity, and with purpose. Thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you, Michelle. We're so lucky to have Michelle on board as the chair this year, a true pillar of our community. We now have a video testimony from a parent who sent their child on March.
Hello, my name is Eli Mogul. I'm a parent of a teenager who went on a combined Poland and Israel trip last year, and I've been asked by the organizers to give you my views on why we proposed our son went, how did it go, and how.
Okay. I recognize there's a problem with this video, even though
we deal with the question of sending him to Israel, given the.
You know what? I'm actually going to include the video in the follow-up email tomorrow, just because I don't want it to be difficult to watch. So I'll pass it on. It's my pleasure to introduce you to Hayden Wazer, a student from Westmount High School, who traveled on Poland and Israel program this past spring.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm Hayden. I went on the March of the Living last year, and it was an experience that changed me very much so for the better. I am the great-grandchild of 2 Holocaust survivors from Poland, where their entire families were killed. So this trip meant a lot to my family. I think that this year's program is going to be incredible, and I hope you all go. I just wanted to share a few moments that really stood out to me from my trip. One key moment was a children's forest that we visited in Tarnov. We learned that over 800 children were murdered there, and they were buried in mass graves. And although the experience was so sad to witness, like, you can barely put it into words. Each student received a card with someone's name on it. Mine was Sarah Wasserman. She was 20 years old when she was murdered. And we were able to bring back Jewish life and honor their memories there, which was so meaningful to all of us. We all left in tears, but it made us really think of like the individual person, and which I think is so important to learn, because it's really hard to understand what the Holocaust was like until you narrow it down and focus on individual stories, which I think this trip will definitely do a great job of emphasizing. And I also wanted to say that there's so many happy times and sad times in Poland. I think that this trip will really combine both, and you can't have one without the other. Of course, you're traveling to Poland. It's going to be a very sad experience. You're going to learn things that you would have never learned before, and witness things firsthand, and be able to tell survivor testimonies and all of that. But at the same time, you're going to have so many happy memories. And I made friends for life. You dance, you bring back Jewish life into areas that people would have thought 80 years ago that would never have been back. And it really makes you proud to be Jewish and proud to be alive. And also traveling to Israel for the first time, I got to see how our ancestors have prevailed over 3,000 years. It's an experience unlike any other, where you really get to see like thousands of years, how we've come throughout the years, how honestly, as Jews, we just carried our pride throughout, and it really makes you proud to be alive. And even though we're in a post-October 7th world, I think it's important now more than ever to travel to Israel and understand what life is truly like there, because but without that experience, I would have never been able to see that. And I think that overall, it's so important to just witness things firsthand, tell stories so that they never die, and show our support for Israel and learn about its beauty. If I didn't go, honestly, I don't think I would be the same person that I am today. I learned so many new things that I never would have if I didn't. And I made so many new relationships and friends that I would have never had met before. So I'm just very grateful for the opportunity I had, and grateful for the stories that I'll be able to tell for the rest of my life.
Thank you, Hayden. So the dates of History to Memory next year are March 12th to March 23rd. The flights depart the evening of Thursday, March 12th, allowing students to go to school on the Thursday, and the flight arrives early on the Friday before Shabbat, well before Shabbat. The return flight from Tel Aviv will be via Warsaw and will return the evening of Monday, May 23rd. This year, we went the extra length of securing LL flights in and out of Israel, just as an extra precaution. And I'll talk more about that when I talk about safety and security. Registration for the program is currently open at ujahistorytomemory.ca. There are 2 parts to the application. There's the personal and trip information, where students will be required to fill out some personal details and parent details. And then there will also be a requirement for them to upload a short video essay, 1 or 2 minutes, explaining why they'd like to take part in this program. Once you've completed part 1 of the application, you'll receive a link to part 2, where you can submit your passport details and payment. Just a quick note, an important note on part 1. It is a form, so it's short. You'll have to keep your browser open while you're completing it. There won't be an opportunity to close it and come back. So once it's open, you have to keep it open, complete it, and then submit it. But if you close it, you'll have to start again. On the second part of the application, passport details and payment, I just want to point out that passports must be valid until 6 months after our return. So that brings us to September 23rd. And all payments are US dollars and to be made online. While we don't look to turn away any students from this opportunity, it is currently our plan to travel with only 1 bus. So I encourage you to complete the application earlier rather than later. Following acceptances will also require medical information from students, including a signed doctor's form and dietary information. We require medical insurance, and we strongly recommend cancellation insurance. Once applications are closed, which will be on October 31st, interviews will be conducted on an as-needed basis, and shortly thereafter, acceptances will be sent out. History to Memory is not only a 10-day journey, but it includes a robust pre-trip education. So there will be 3 pre-trip seminars, one of which will be a visit to the Toronto Holocaust Museum. It's very important to us that students are as well prepared as possible for a journey of such a serious nature, emotionally prepared, and also educationally prepared. And it's important to us to meet the students and get to know them before we travel with them for 10 days. The details and the schedule of the seminars will be sent to all the participants upon their acceptance. So we also have a great opportunity for students, a partnership with Torah High. So students are eligible to take part in a Torah High, History to Memory Torah High class, which will run once a week from January to June. It's much shorter than the other Torah High classes because a lot of the hours are actually made up on the trip itself. Students have to register for History to Memory and the Torah High class separately. You might be thinking, who's traveling on this program? So in addition to a UJA staff and Michelle, there will also be 2 additional staff members and an amazing educator, as well as security at all times. So you can rest assured everyone's in great hands. And I know that a question a lot of you have as well is whether or not survivors will be traveling on this program. Although there will be lots of time with survivors in Toronto and in Poland and in Israel, survivors will not be taking part in the full journey to Poland and Israel. So a look at the itinerary, which is subject to change, but we just wanted to give everybody an idea of what the program will look like. So participants, as I mentioned, will depart on Thursday night, arriving on Friday. We'll have time to explore life before the war with a visit to Genshaw Cemetery in Warsaw upon arrival. We will keep Shabbat on this program, but on Shabbat, we'll take part in a walking tour of the Warsaw Ghetto. We'll learn about resistance and the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising over this walk. And on day 3 and 4 of the journey, we'll visit sites of destruction like Majdanek and also Auschwitz-Birkenau. On the last day in Poland, we will follow the path of the Jews of Tarnow, which is Hayden referenced the Jews of Tarnow, and we'll honor their memory. And on Wednesday, March 18th, we will make our way over to Israel. We will bear witness to the events of October 7th in Israel. We will also visit ancient Jewish sites like Masada and the Dead Sea, all before coming back to Jerusalem for Shabbat. On Shabbat day, we'll visit the old city and visit the Kotel. We'll also have a geopolitical update and Havdalah, spend some time on Ben Yehuda in the evening. We will spend our last day in Tel Aviv, starting in Jaffa, having lunch in the market, exploring the city, all before a closing dinner. So the cost of the program this year is $6,400 US. This cost includes all flights, hotels, ground transportation, security, educators, admission to all sites, local programming. It includes everything, I'll say, other than 3 lunches in Israel that will be on the participant, and any additional spending money, which really is not needed, but is the preference of the participant. Safety and security, and then I'll open it up to more questions. So far beyond Holocaust education and Israel education, safety and security is our top priority. We travel with armed security with us at all times in Poland and in Israel. We stay at the same hotels as the security. They're on the bus with us. They walk through the sites with us. In Israel, we're monitored by a GPS. We check in every morning with a control center. It's run by the Ministry of Education. Anything from weather alerts to traffic to anything more serious will be communicated through this channel, and we will deviate our program as necessary. As I mentioned earlier, we took the extra precaution this year to secure LL flights in and out of Israel. And we will talk more about safety and security at our logistics evening that takes place in before the trip departs in March. And I saw some questions come in, but one thing that was on the slide, but I did not mention, is that we have financial assistance available for this program, and we don't want the cost to be prohibitive. So please, 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 don't not apply because of the cost of the program. The link to financial assistance is available on part 1 of the application. If you have any questions or concerns about anything, but financial assistance in particular, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. This is my direct phone number. You can also email historytomemory@ujfa.org, or you can email me personally. We really want you to apply to this program and not let the cost be a barrier. So I do see some questions in here. What is the breakdown of payments in terms of deposit and full payment? So the breakdown will be on part 2 of the application that we send the link out to. There's a deposit payment that's going to be due by the end of registration, which is October 31st. That's going to be $1,000. And then the balance of the program costs, there will be a payment due at the end of November and then mid-January. And our cancellation policy is in accordance with the airline's cancellation policy. So by that second payment at the end of November, the cancellation becomes 50%. And then after you've paid the final payment in mid-January, there is no refund. And that's about less than 2 months till departure at that point in time. This program is not eligible for Route 1 funding because of the length of the program, unfortunately. This program will not preclude your child from attending Birthright. Birthright eligibility starts after 18. If Israel becomes a safety concern, will the trip to Poland still happen? Yes, but our intention is to go to Israel. And that's also why we took the extra measure of securing those LL flights, because we know that LL is the most reliable airline in and out of Israel. But of course, if it's not safe to go to Israel, we will make that tough decision and we will proceed with a Poland-only program, which is also great because we have separate bookings for flights. Is it possible to extend the flight to stay in Israel for the next few days? Yes, I've confirmed with our provider that it is possible to extend your flight in Israel for a few days, however long you'd like. There may be a change or an extension fee associated with that. We would also need, guardian consent because the minor would be traveling home on their own, presumably. So if there's any other questions, you can, what grades you, so this trip is just for grade 11s and 12s. And I'll stay here for a few more minutes, but I really appreciate everyone joining tonight. This Zoom was recorded, so we'll send out the recording, and please share it with friends. And we really look forward to a very meaningful and safe UJ History to Memory journey in the spring. And we hope that you'll all join us. So thank you so much. And again, you can reach us at historytomemory@ujfed.org, or this phone number, or my personal email, which you actually all received. I sent out the link to this webinar. It's WKARP@ujfed.org. Thank you so much. Have a great evening.